tariffs. And I'm sure this will not be the only day that we discuss tariffs, but Justin Nugent and I will break down for you exactly what's going on in the world of finance right here on the Rebel's Edge. Bang! Bang. Hey,
Bang.
Justin, great to be here with you, sir.
Oh, it's great to be here with
Tell
you.
people where you're coming from, because, folks, that's not Pete. That's Justin Nugent coming from somewhere in Hawaii.
But that's not as cool as where you're coming from over here at the CBOE.
Are you growing a little beard here, or is it just my camera?
Not intentionally. Not intentionally.
And I'm here at the CBOE Global Markets, folks. Great bunch of folks here that let us, when we come to town, shoot from here. And that pit behind me, that's one of their busiest pits on this brand new trading floor. It's new in 2024 anyway, and it's gorgeous. So with that said, Justin, let's dive into it, shall we?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Market minute, I'm going to say President-elect Trump and these tariffs that we talked about in the tease. Well, he's proposing a 25% tariff on all imports from Canada and Mexico, along with another 10% on Chinese goods, unless they cut the flow of illegal immigration and drugs into this country. I'm going to say that's what people are going to be talking about in the macro for quite a while, Justin.
Yeah, my macro minute is that now that the economy and the market are getting a little bit more stable, people are starting to feel a little bit better about it. Some of that money that's been sitting on the sidelines and in these big tech safe stocks are starting to move into some of these more speculative names. And as long as you have discipline, and especially as long as you use options, there's nothing wrong with getting a piece of that. In the Rebel Roundup, we talked about QMCO last night. Stock was up at 1.50% today, opened low as well. So if you wanted to get in, you got in for a decent price. Nothing wrong with taking a piece as long as you have some discipline.
That's right. Discipline's the key, folks. Profits and losses. Got to have it for both. All right, let's talk fantastic futures, Justin. U.S. consumer confidence increased in November, highest level in more than a year. Boy, I wonder why. Could it have anything to do with the election? It might.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, Justin, that we're going to see eventually probably 2 to 3 rate cuts in 2025, but I'm not looking for a lot right up front. I think they stick with the program, if you will, and then start doing 25 basis point cuts rather, spacing them out a little bit, perhaps, so that they don't spike inflation back to where it came from. So I'm going to say basically treasuries are my fantastic future. How about you?
Yeah, and the 10-year is starting to calm down a little bit ever since we got Bissent. I agree with you. The rate cut futures have been kind of firming up a little bit to every other meeting. So like cut, 2 meetings, pause, cut, 2 meetings, pause. I think that's probably what's going to happen. What I would note is that the only time that we can see out to is 2025, and it's probably because Powell's probably not going to be there in 2026. And once he's not, I imagine for Trump's last 2 years as president, he's going to put somebody in who's going to give us some quite low rates, whether we like it or not, and that would likely boost the market.
Yeah, don't disagree at all on any of those points. All right, we're going to dive into some stocks now, folks. Kohls, KSS, boy, disappointing third quarter earnings here, and so disappointing perhaps that they are saying the CEO gone. It's a department store chain, folks. You guys know it. They have had some pretty darn negative outlooks, as well as negative, or at least missing on earnings. And so stock was down as much as 22%. Right now, mid-session, it's down about 18% and not looking so good.
No, John. They just put their stock on Black Friday sale.
Maybe that's it. That's a good way to get it moved. Right. Let's cut the price.
It's down a ton. Sales are expected to drop 8%, and it's just super interesting because you saw Gap come out and they're great. And it's just so funny that, when you see Walmart come out and do great, Target come out and do bad, Gap come out and do great, Kohls come out and do bad. It really is just about being able to pick the winners from the losers because not all stocks in the same industry are built the same.
Right, that's true. And the next couple we're going to talk about, at least Arrowhead Pharmaceuticals, ARWR. These guys getting a huge benefit from a licensing deal that they're doing with Sarepta. Now we're going to cover Amgen too, which is kind of the opposite side of the coin, but this is for gene splicing products. Sarepta, of course, has some volatility in it as well, but this one for Arrowhead Pharmaceuticals includes over $800 million up front, which basically gets them to a lot of the milestones that they need to get to bring some of the promising pharmaceutical products they've got to market. What do you think of ARWR here?
Well, I would say that gene silencing is something that I don't quite understand, but sounds very, very cool. uh, I'm always just more looking at the chart. When you leapfrog your 50-day moving average like that, and you get an $825 million upfront deal, and that upfront is a big deal for for those who care about fundamentals and for when we go into those earnings. That looks really, really strong for some continuation. The only thing that I would note is that I'm always talking about looking at these biotech catalyst calendars. I talk about it in the Rebel Roundup all the time. Keep an eye on these because a lot of these events in biotech are catalyzed. We know that something might happen on a certain date. It's just a matter of whether it's a trial or it's a deal or it's an approval of what date of rather what the outcome is going to be, positive or negative. It can help you to craft some trades.
Yeah, and those catalysts, when you know that there is, for instance, something that's occurring for Amgen, the next stock on our list today, AMGN, it was down 13-14%. It's cut that, not in half, but it's cut that down, I think, to about an 8% drop. It's closing in on 10 million shares on the day versus about 2 million normal, Justin. And why are these guys trading to the downside? Well, because their weight loss treatment called Maritide, it works, and people dropped about 20% of their weight that they were hoping to lose. That's a positive thing, obviously. If you're 200 plus pounds and you lose around 40 pounds or so, that's going to be pretty big. I don't know why this is being viewed as negative, except that the street was thinking more like, oh, are people going to lose 30% of their body weight? Or I don't know what it must be that they're looking for here. But of course, Novo Nordisk and any of the guys making these so-called GLP-1 drugs, they are already getting revenue. And this one was expected to leapfrog those guys. And instead, it more or less traded in the same sort of direction. And they've already got the, with Manjaro and Ozempic, they've already got the consumer mind, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I had read that it was slightly less effective than Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, and there were some side effects that people didn't like. But yeah, how are you going to keep up with Eli Lilly and Novo if you can't truly surprise the market? It reminds me of those earnings where they come out and they say, yeah, we came in line, but the street wanted you to beat. So yeah, no, they're dumb.
Yep. Phase 2 trials we're talking about here, folks, people living with obesity and being overweight, maybe even type 2 diabetes. This is what it was supposed to treat and treat better than those other two, like I said, Novo, which is NVO, or Eli Lilly, LLY, their two drugs. And it just apparently did not. It hit a plateau earlier than people thought for the weight loss, and then it more or less stopped. And again, Justin hit the nail on the head. It's the side effects as well, folks, because if you're trying to beat those other two that are already the leaders in the space, you need to have perhaps better side effects, if any side effects. And unfortunately for Amgen, people are hitting it's losing weight. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
The stock is losing weight just like you said about Kohls with the Black Friday sale. Those aren't good, either of those two, Kohls or Amgen.
Yeah.
Let's see, Justin, how about this one? Semtech. So what do these guys do? Well, among other things, data center products. And driven by AI demand, of course, they're projecting long-term growth for SMTC. And the stock certainly reflects that. Gross margin, 54.4%. That is a phenomenal number, folks, for anybody to be putting up. And 54% for a tech company like SMTC. I think with data centers, AI, and the rest, this one looks so bright, Justin. I guess you got to wear shades.
Oh, wow. John, I don't know if you got to take a look. I was so sure that we had seen you away in this, and I just did not look before this. It would have been a little while back, but in any case, data centers. Those are the two words, right? How long have John and Mark and Pete been hitting the nail on the head with these data centers, whether we're talking about App 11 or this stock or anything else? It's all about data centers. Does this get me more excited about SMTC, or does it get me more excited about Vertiv and nuclear energy and all of those alliterative plays on data centers? I don't know, but I like it all.
Yep, I certainly like Semtech. I looked as you did, and we didn't have a live trade, if you will. By that, folks, I mean, like Justin said, we've had it in the past, but the options have expired. So in other words, if we had it back in, for instance, September, and they were October options, we're not going to put October options up here on the screen and tell you, look, we had it. Well, but those options expired. So instead, we could say people had inklings that they might be on the right track here, and indeed they are, but this was months ago. And I still like the stock, but recent live unusual activity, sadly, don't have it in this one.
Okay.
All right. Well, Justin, without Pete here, we're going to talk a little Red Zone sports nonetheless, because he sent us over a couple, starting out with running backs, because the NFL, or the no fun league, as some people call it, even though it's got more and more fun, but they're getting kind of tired of all the dancing. You know, they don't want the players out there doing the Trump dance, really. But just last week, we laughed, at least I laughed, when Chase was out there for the Cincinnati Bengals, and he took out a wipe and wiped the football with it. And this was for something called, I think, man wipes versus dude wipes or whatever. Apparently one of those two sponsors the NFL and the other does not. So he had to pay like a huge fine for doing it. But anyway, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the NFL. But Pete's point was that the running backs are the key to success. And, you know, he gave us a couple examples like Saquon Barkley, for instance, or King Henry, Gibbs, all these guys, running backs, you know, whether it's for the Lions, whether it's for the Baltimore Ravens or the Eagles, these guys are changing the game back to being a ground and pound instead of just Air Force. What do you think of that?
Yeah, my biggest thought is that they should let these people dance. Who cares? Who cares? Are the people at home so angry that a guy's wiping a ball, or so angry that someone's going to celebrate in the end zone? Is it that big of a deal? Is the respect at risk? It's just another thing to help people watch and root for their team. We're dancing at home. Who cares? And yeah totally agree.
That's right.
Ground. Yeah.
And the linebackers, you know, Pete and I were linebackers, Justin. And when we see Pete go on the field, which he is frequently, folks, he was on the sidelines for the Penn State Golden Gopher game, where his Gophers sadly lost by 1 point to a very great Penn State team. But linebackers are small. When Pete stands next to most of them, he is bigger by, you know, probably 20 pounds. Pete's 6'3", 240. These linebackers that are playing at 220 pounds, that's too small to stop some of these big, strong running backs like King Henry, like Saquon Barkley. I mean, Saquon damn near squats 800 pounds or something like that. You've seen him do that hurdle where he jumps backwards over some of the tacklers that are coming for him because he's got such jump in those legs from all that strength. The linebackers need to be bigger to take these strong running backs down, and I think that's why a lot of these teams are taking advantage of smaller linebackers that are built more for pass coverage than to stop the run. So Pete wanted us to get that in there. So there you go, Pete. Lastly, how about this? We're getting to this 12-team playoff for the national championship for collegiate football Division I. And Pete wants to know what underdog is likely to perhaps go very far in that playoff and or win it all. And Justin, maybe you're an Oregon fan, and if you are, I don't blame you. I guess that's the closest team in the NCAAs to where you are in Hawaii, Oregon, and they have a great team, and they're undefeated. So that's a heck of a football team. I think they could go far in the playoffs. But is that your team out of these 12, or do you have another that you think could be the golden one this year?
Yeah, I mean, Oregon is obviously great. We've talked to Pete about it a little bit as well, and you guys are really the experts on anything football. But I would just note that Dabo Swinney's Tigers have a 34.4% chance to make the playoffs now, which may not sound like a ton, but talk about a comeback story after missing out for 3 straight seasons.
Yeah, and that guy, folks, as Justin knows, and Pete just lectures me on it all the time, Dabo doesn't use the portal. He says, if I recruit you, I want you to play here. I don't want to train you and then have you go to another place. He can't stop them from leaving, and some of them have, but he does not grab players out of the portal like, for instance, Dion does, or like virtually every other team does. He is an old school guy in that regard, and I think Pete and a lot of players really respect that this really is a coach that isn't just recognizing talent and going out and stealing it, but instead developing it on his own. And I think that gives Pete a lot of love for Dabo Swinney, and he is a heck of a coach. And I don't think you're wrong. 34% chance, Justin. I think a lot of us would love to see Clemson Tigers make it pretty deep, if not into the championship, certainly very deep into that playoff. So kudos to you for that. Well, folks, remember, you can always join us in Vegas, where I just got back from yesterday. You can join us the 22nd of March. We're going to be there with Grant Cardone, our business partner. He will be there for perhaps his final Growth Con. That's the 10X Growth Con in Vegas, the 20th and 21st. And then he joins us March 22nd for Rebel Con. Justin will be there. I will be there. Pete will be there. Charlie Gasparino, I think, has already said he'll be there again. I think Liz Clayman is already saying she'll be there. And we're going to have a bunch of fabulous speakers that we're going to be signing up, folks. So make sure you keep an eye on that. And if you want the Black Friday special, you can get it right now. And basically, Justin, the great thing is it pays for your airfare. The discount that we're offering right now, if you buy the Black Friday general admission, you save nearly $300. If you buy the Black Friday VIP, you save nearly $600. So again, folks, scan that QR code. You could join us in Vegas. It's also a great stocking stuffer. If you've got your wife, your grandparents, your kid, whatever, that would like to join us, your significant other, make sure that you scan that code, get the discount. It's going to be fabulous. It's the 22nd of March, 2025 at the MGM Hotel. Thank you, Justin. Great job, sir. As always, folks, Justin is the author of the 3 at 3 Pro. Make sure you check that out. And we'll be back with 3 at 3 at 3 p.m. today, Eastern Time. Bang. See you then.